Why I stopped caring about my bucket list at age 60. This is going to be one of the more difficult topics for me to convey and help you understand, but I thought I would tackle it anyway because I'm going through it right now. So let me know how I did, like you always do, in the comments. Um, Everyone tells you in retirement, you got to travel the world, you climb Mount Everest, Machu Picchu, uh, learn to salsa dance, whatever. They see all 50 states. But I morphed into a large part of me just wants to find meaning, fulfillment, peace, routine, and familiarity in retirement. The bucket list starts to become a burden. I have to do these things as soon as possible. I know that comes from my work career. Some of my personality, maybe a lot of my personality, is to accomplish, to achieve, to get things done. But that can be a burden and kind of suck some of the joy out of retirement. What will people think? Will they have a better retirement than me if I don't make these 27 bucket list items? If I don't get them done as fast as possible, how will people judge my retirement? All that competition stuff. I did not give up. I'm not waiting to die. Don't go there. Um, but joy for me, I found, is more in the journey than completing a checklist. This has been a journey for me. I didn't start here. Okay. I retired when I was 54, 6.5 years ago. I began, with the checklist of starting a part-time business. I really wanted to do that, consulting. I didn't want, to be afraid to go out on my own, maybe work 1 week a month. Um, Doing consulting on reliability and maintenance. If you want to see what that's like, check out my earliest videos, my first like 200 videos. I wanted to travel all 50 states, see Germany, Austria, Switzerland, England, Scotland, Ireland, Greece, Panama Canal, take my wife to Norway, one of my favorite destinations so far. I've been to a few places for my job. I traveled globally, but Norway was my favorite. Now, you Australians don't get upset at me. I loved Australia too. Spain and several other countries, the Middle East, South America. I also wanted to go to Asia somewhere, and I haven't specified where, but it was surprising that it was missing from my bucket list, so I added it on there, someplace in Asia. So that's kind of where I started out, what I was retiring to, start a small business, travel, enjoy life, enjoy family, things like that. All good stuff. But here's the secret, 6.5 years into retirement, I stopped caring so much about completing things off that bucket list. And it's given me a lot of peace that I don't have to get 5 of them done this year. I'll be off pace if I don't get 5 done this year. And I think a big part of this, and I alluded to this earlier, is I'm not competing. There's no competition in retirement. And that is very joyful. Not, the workplace, the way I approached it is I wanted to be the best. I wanted to do things people haven't done before. I wanted to drive the organization further, better safety, better employee engagement, better financial results, better quality, all those kind of things. But you're not competing in retirement. And it's taken me a while to understand that, I guess. I'm not being lazy. Believe me, I'm more exhausted on an average day in retirement than I was working. But I'm not just chasing down that list anymore. The problem with the bucket list mentality, and these are just my current thinking thoughts, it's performance based. It turns life into a checklist and not a lived experience. It creates pressure. I should be doing more today. Today was a bad day. I didn't get anything done on my checklist. Social media distorts all this. Travel and adventure just sounds like, it's all good. But I just took a trip to Michigan and New York State. Didn't go to New York City. We were in the Finger Lakes region and Buffalo, and we were there 2 weeks. And I can't tell you what we did, but I can tell you we met some great people, um, and had a great time. Very relaxing, very fulfilling, full of joy. Loved that trip, but we didn't. Days weren't packed. We were just um, slowing down. And Buffalo was with some family to be. My son is getting married, and we met the in-laws there in Buffalo and the Finger Lakes. Um, Also, a bucket list implies a deadline. Like, hey, you got to do these things before you die, and that adds some urgency. Got to check things. I got 20 things on my bucket list. I got to get 5 done a year, because new things are going to be added. I do have places I want to see, but it's okay if life steers me in another direction. I want to be there as a husband, a father, a grandpa, um, friend. That's what I want to be. Hopefully, I said husband in there. I think I said it first. You may look at this YouTube channel and say, "Hey, here's a guy that's working and driving and trying to get 1 million subscribers." What is my goal with this YouTube channel? Well, I make this content um, like I'm talking to one person. I'm actually alone in my office right now, but I treat my content like I'm talking to one person. And I can't control how many people subscribe. I can't control how many people comment or like, which I still want you to do. But I just want to make a difference and help one person. That's the part of my job I really enjoyed, and why I get so much out of being a YouTube content creator. It's just trying to help one person, and your comments really bring that home for me. Um, I'm not opposed to having 1 million subscribers. Don't get me wrong, but that's not in my control. That's in yours. um, Retirement years have changed. I've changed over time, but peace became more valuable than adrenaline. Routine, I'm sorry to say that, but I'm 61 now, but um, the adrenaline rushes. I like peace. Routine becomes more grounding than boring. I know who I am. I'm just Joe. I speak to my kids weekly. I see my granddaughter 5 to 6 times a week. She calls me Papa. I crave depth over novelty. Example of that, if that's confusing, is like sitting on the porch or taking a walk with a friend or my wife or my daughter or granddaughter is much more satisfying to me than another, you know, check mark on my passport. Less desire for packed schedules. I try to have one thing a day. I don't like having anything more than that. Uh, I found more meaning in everyday life. Like I love to smoke meat. I got a pellet grill. I love learning. I love learning about history. And goals can become burdens when they are on a bucket list. I got to do this before I die. What I focus on instead is trying to be present instead of planning, relationships over destinations, and find the joy in small things. Like I do home maintenance for 4 homes now, it seems like. My 2 kids and my dad. I'm always helping out with my tools. My minivan's full of tools. I love slow travel. I like to read and I like to learn. Um, I like, I have some inner goals, maybe peace of mind, spiritual growth, and raising great uh, kids, family, extended family, that's close to each other. They're all friends. So I'd like to reframe the bucket list, maybe give you something to think about. I'm not anti dreams or anti, pressure, but shift to or from I must do before I die bucket list to nice to do if the moment is right. It's okay to have flexible list instead of a rigid one. Maybe an alternative to a bucket list is a joy list, or a curiosity list, something I'm curious about and have time for as life rolls it out. I still plan to travel, 4 or 5 couple week vacations a year, but with a lot less pressure. Like, I don't have to see it. I don't have to see 8 national parks on this 2 week trip. I can go to Montana and just experience Montana for 2 to 3 weeks. Does that make sense? So in closing, I'm choosing right now. This is where I'm at today, not to have my life become a checklist. I want to enjoy the walk, not just the milestones. Um, so, question to you: if you've been retired more than 5 years, have you felt a shift in your bucket list? Did you toss it away or still working on it? If you're not retired, does this sound just crazy? Does it sound lazy? I'd be interested in your feedback because I haven't heard any content like this. Does this video shock you, surprise you, or seem out of character for me? As I'm going through this journey, maybe your comment will influence me a little bit on how I think about my retirement. So I'd love to hear it. Uh, Let me know in the comments. Get a great discussion going. I try to read them all. Don't get to all of them. But I do try to make my journey in retirement. I put it out there for you, really to help you in your journey, what you may be struggling with, get you a little bit more excited about retiring just a little bit earlier. It's great. It's better than great. It's life on my terms. Joe out.